On this video, me and Robert headed north for a 3-day trip on what would turn out to be the hardest, harshest conditions we had both ever encountered on the mountains. Before that, we had the small matter of stopping off in Glencoe to camp on one of its most iconic camp spots. Yep, you've guessed it, Benner Carilister. We decided to head for the summit to get as high as possible because it was looking promising for a cloud inversion the next morning. As you can see, as the high pressure started moving in, the cloud was starting to drop and it was looking promising. It's going to drop. I can feel it. It's going to drop. Well, as you can see, the full-blown inversion never materialised. It was just a kind of patchy one. Still nice, nevertheless. So with that, it was time to head down and get into Fort William, grab some breakfast and some supplies, then head to Glen Nevis for the next part of the adventure. So the plan here was to head up and do 6 Munros in total, the 4 on the Ring of Steel and the 2 outliers that lie to the west. But little did we know the heat was going to test us to the max. We soon reached the top of Mulloch Nancurrian, the first of the outlier Munros. And after a pretty long walk, we reached the summit of the second Munro of the Outliers Stop Ban, and the heat was really starting to ramp up by this point. As this was going to be one of the only water supplies on the full trip, we took our time, had a good break, drunk loads of water, and stocked up for the rest of the trip. We were now entering the 4 Munros on the Ring of Steel. The first one involved an out and back along the Devil's Ridge, so we decided to leave the bags at the start and get them on the way back. We were glad we didn't have the backpacks with us because there were some tricky sections on this ridge walk, as you'll see. We were soon standing on the summit of Scuravame, and it's probably one of the finest viewpoints I've seen so far in the Scottish mountains, with Ben Nevis within touching distance across Glen Nevis and surrounded by endless mountains in all directions. The plan was originally to try and head for Ambodach and camp on there, but done in by the heat and couldn't go any further, we decided to camp on the ex-Monroe, Scour and Lubert. View for tonight. You might have noticed me and Robert were doing a bivvy camp, and it was a first for both of us, and we both slept pretty well, but to be honest we could have probably slept on a bed of nails that night because we'd been done in by the heat the night before and were both exhausted. We hadn't been too sure the night before what we were going to do the next day because the forecast was to be even hotter. But we woke up and decided not to bail and carry on because we were ready to get packed up for about 20 to 6. Which meant we could try and get the next 2 Monroes done before the heat started to ramp back up again. Soon we were standing on the summit of Ambodach, the first one of the day and the 4th one of the trip, and what a difference it made setting off as early before the heat kicked in. It meant we could really push on and get up there pretty quick. Next up was Stob Corrie a Cairn, the 2nd one of the day and the 5th one of the trip, and we just made it to the summit before the heat started to really kick in again. So this was another ridge walk section we had to do to get to the summit of Angernash. To be honest, I thought this one was probably a bit more tricky than the Devil's Ridge, but that might have been down to us having to carry the big backpacks on this. So if anyone out there that's actually done both of these ridges, what's your take on it? Do you think one was definitely harder than the other? So after probably the two of the hardest days I've ever had in the mountains, we finally reached the last of the Ring of Steel Monroes and the sixth one of this trip, Angernash. So all that was left to do now was get off the mountain and take that long walk back to the motor. So maybe it was a bit crazy doing all those in that heat. What do you think? Did we regret it? Not a chance. We loved it. It was one of those trips that will live long in the memory for both of us. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.